Edwards Air Force Base is a United States Air Force installation in Southern California, located approximately 22 miles northeast of Lancaster and 15 miles east of Rosamond. It is the home of the Air Force Flight Test Center and is the Air Force Materiel Command Center of Excellence for conducting and supporting research and development of flight, as well as testing and evaluation of aerospace systems from concept to combat. It operates the U.S. Air Force Test Pilot School and is home to NASA's Armstrong Flight Research Center and considerable test activities conducted by America's commercial aerospace industry. Overview. Previously known as Muroc Air Force Base, Edwards AFB is named in honor of Captain Glenn Edwards. During World War II, he flew 50 missions in A-20 Havoc light attack bombers in the North African campaign on extremely hazardous, low-level missions against German tanks, convoys, troop concentrations, bridges, airfields, and a variety of other tactical targets. Edwards became a test pilot in 1943 and spent much of his time at Muroc Army Airfield on California's high desert, testing wide varieties of experimental prototype aircraft. He died in the crash of a Northrop YB-49 flying wing near Muroc AFB on 5 June 1948. The base is next to Rogers Dry Lake, an endorheic desert salt pan whose hard dry lake surface provides a natural extension to Edwards runways. This large landing area, combined with excellent year-round weather, makes the base good for flight testing. The lake is a National Historic Landmark. The base has played a significant role in the development of virtually every aircraft to enter the Air Force inventory since World War II. Almost every United States military aircraft since the 1950s has been at least partially tested at Edwards, and it has been the site of many aviation breakthroughs. Notable occurrences at Edwards include Chuck Yeager's flight that broke the sound barrier in the Bell X-1 test flights of the North American X-15, the first landings of the Space Shuttle, and the 1986 around-the-world flight of the Rutan Voyager. Airplanes from Edwards AFB provided the flyovers at many outdoor sporting events in Los Angeles County, including the 1980 Major League Baseball All-Star Game, many World Series games at Dodger Stadium, and the Missing Man formation after the national anthem at Super Bowls at the Rose Bowl in nearby Pasadena. 14, 21, and 27, sung by Cheryl Ladd, Neil Diamond, and Garth Brooks, respectively. The base's five-man color guard has accompanied presentations of the national anthem by who's who of recording artists at these and other major sporting events in Los Angeles County, including the 1984 Summer Olympics opening and closing ceremonies, many NBA Finals games, 2 Stanley Cup Finals, 2 National Hockey League All-Star Games, and 3 NBA All-Star Games, most notably accompanying Marvin Gaye's performance at the 1983 game in Inglewood, California. Units: Air Force Test Center 412th Test Wing. The 412th Test Wing plans, conducts, analyzes, and reports on all flight and ground testing of aircraft, weapons systems, software and components, as well as modeling and simulation for the U.S. Air Force. The wing also oversees the base's day-to-day operations and provides support for military, federal civilian, and contract personnel assigned to Edwards AFB 412th Operations Group. There are 8 flight test squadrons under the 412th Operations Group with as many as 20 aircraft assigned to each. The 412 OS flies an average of 90 aircraft with upwards of 30 different aircraft designs. It also performs more than 7,400 missions on an annual basis. The aircraft are grouped by mission Global Power 411th Flight Test Squadron, 416th Flight Test Squadron, 419th Flight Test Squadron, 445th Flight Test Squadron, 461st Flight Test Squadron, Global Reach, 412th Flight Test Squadron, 418th Flight Test Squadron, Global Vigilance, 452d Flight Test Squadron, 412th Test Management Division, 412th Test Management Group, 412th Electronic Warfare Group, 412th Engineering Division. The Engineering Division and the Electronic Warfare Group provide the central components in conducting the test and evaluation mission of the 412 terawatts. They provide the tools, talent and equipment for the core disciplines of aircraft structures, propulsion, avionics and electronic warfare evaluation of the latest weapon system technologies. They also host the core facilities that enable flight test and ground test, the Range Division, Benefield and Echoic Facility, Integrated Flight Avionics Systems Test Facility, and the Air Force Electronic Warfare Evaluation Simulator. The Project and Resource Management Divisions provide the foundation for the successful program management of test missions. 412th Civil Engineer Division, 412th Maintenance Group, 412th Medical Group, 412th Mission Support Group. U.S. Air Force Test Pilot School. The U.S.AF Test Pilot School, also part of the 412th Test Wing, is where the Air Force's top pilots, navigators and engineers learn how to conduct flight tests and generate the data needed to carry out test missions. The comprehensive curriculum of Test Pilot School is fundamental to the success of flight test and evaluation. Associate units. There are a vast array of organizations at Edwards that do not fall under the 412th Test Wing. These are called associate units. These units do everything from providing an on-base grocery store to testing state-of-the-art rockets. 31st Test and Evaluation Squadron. The 31st Test and Evaluation Squadron provides Air Combat Command personnel to support combined test and evaluation on Air Force weapons systems. Established in 1917, it is one of the oldest units of the United States Air Force. The Desert Pirates are part of the 53D Test and Evaluation Group, Nellis AFB, Nevada, and the 53D Wing, Eglin AFB, Florida. It also provides the Air Force Operational Test and Evaluation Center, Kirtland AFB, New Mexico, and Air Force Materiel Command, Wright-Patterson AFB, Ohio, with elite test team members who have an operational perspective to perform test and evaluation on combat Air Force systems. The 31st is staffed with a mixture of operations, maintenance and engineering experts who plan and conduct tests, evaluate effectiveness and suitability, and influence system design. The squadron's personnel are integrated into the B-1, B-2, B-52, Global Hawk, MQ-9 and F-35 Joint Strike Fighter programs. The results and conclusions support Department of Defense acquisition, deployment and employment decisions. Air Force Operational Test and Evaluation Center, Detachment 1. An Air Force Materiel Command named unit assigned to Kirtland AFB, New Mexico. AFOTEC Detachment 1 is responsible for accomplishing Block 2 and 3 initial operational test and evaluation of the F-35 Lightning II for the U.S. Air Force, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, United Kingdom Ministry of Defense, and the Royal Netherlands Air Force. Air Force Force Operational Test and Evaluation Center. Detachment 5 AF-30EC Detachment 5 is responsible for conducting the operational test and evaluation of U.S.Air aircraft and avionics systems. Certification by Detachment 5 is required in advance prior to new aircraft, prior to AFMC full-rate production and combat fielding decisions. Detachment 5 personnel are integrated into the Flight Test Center's combined test squadrons and provide a critical operating perspective during developmental flight testing to help prepare systems for the final operational test and evaluation. Note: an AF-30EC Detachment 3 is an unconfirmed geographically separated unit, which may be assigned to a remote facility of Edwards AFB at Groom Lake, Nevada, that may perform similar testing as Detachment 5 on weapons systems not publicly identified. During 1978 and 1979, an AF-FDC test pilot and a pair of flight test engineers were engaged in proof-of-concept testing with Lockheed's Low Observable Technology demonstrator, dubbed HAV Blue. The successful conduct of these tests led immediately to the development of the F-117A Nighthawk, the world's first operational stealth fighter. Air Force Plant 42 production flight test installation, a remote facility of Edwards AFB, located at Palmdale, California. Plant 42 is a government-owned, contractor-operated facility with proximity to both the concentration of aerospace industry in Los Angeles, and the high-speed corridors and resources of the 412th Test Wing at Edwards. Plant 42 is one of 4 Air Force plants located throughout the United States, and is uniquely situated to fully support the Air Force's newest and most advanced aerospace systems. It provides industrial facilities for production, modification, depot maintenance and flight testing of aerospace systems. It is staffed by a mixture of civilian defense contractors, as well as USAF personnel. NASA Armstrong Flight Research Center, contained inside Edwards Air Force Base, is NASA's Armstrong Flight Research Center, where modern aircraft research is still active. The AFRC is home to many of the world's most advanced aircraft. Notable recent research projects include the Controlled Impact Demonstration and the Linear Aerospike State Route 71 experiment. It is chartered to research and test advanced aeronautics, space and related technologies for atmospheric flight operations, and to transfer those technologies to industry and other government agencies. Armstrong supports NASA's Earth science research with a fleet of specialized manned and unmanned environmental science aircraft. Armstrong is also involved in NASA's space science mission by managing and flying the Stratospheric Observatory for Infrared Astronomy. The center is named for Neil A. Armstrong, an American astronaut and the first person to walk on the moon. He was also an aerospace engineer, naval aviator, test pilot, and a university professor. Armstrong's history dates back to late 1946, when 13 engineers arrived at what is now Edwards from the NACA Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory in Virginia to support the first supersonic research flights by the X-1 rocket plane in a joint NACA, Army Air Forces and Bell aircraft program. Air Force Rocket Research Laboratory. The Air Force Research Laboratory Propulsion Directorate maintains a rocket engine test facility on and around Lumen Ridge, just east of Rogers Dry Lake. This facility traces its roots to early Army Air Corps activities. The Edwards Research Site is part of the AFRL Propulsion Directorate, which is headquartered at the Wright Research Site, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio. Other units and further details. Edwards is also home to several other units from DoD, Air Force, Army, Navy, FAA, USPS and many companies that support the primary mission of the personnel stationed there. The main base is also the home of the Benefield and Echoic Facility, an electromagnetic and radio frequency testing building. It is also home to the Air Force Flight Test Center Museum, which has over 15 aircraft on display. The North Base is located at the northwest corner of Rogers Lake and is the site of the Air Force's most secret test programs at Edwards. The site has one 6,000 by 150 feet paved runway, 06-24, and is accessed from the lakebed via a single controlled road. Airfield. As a military airbase, civilian access is severely restricted. There are 3 lighted, paved runways. 04R 22L is 15,024 feet times 300 feet, and an extra 9,588 feet of lakebed runway is available at its northerly end. It is equipped with arresting systems approximately 1,500 feet from each end. 04L 22R is 12,000 feet times 200 feet and was constructed to temporarily replace 04R 22L while it was being renovated in 2008. 06-24 is 8,000 feet times 50 feet and an extra 10,158 feet times 210 feet of lakebed runway is available at its easterly end. There are 13 other official runways on the Rogers Lakebed. 17/35 is 39,097 feet times 900 feet. Imagery from the 1990s shows an additional approximately 7,500 feet extending to the north from 17L 35R, including a visual cue and centerline markings that extend about 15,000 feet down the currently declared portion of the runway. This extension and the centerline markings are faded in current imagery. 05L 23R is 22,175 feet times 300 feet. 05R 23L is 14,999 feet times 300 feet and is immediately adjacent to 05L 23R at the 23L end. 06-24 is 7,050 feet times 300 feet. This is not to be confused with the South Base 06-24 paved runway, or the North Base 06-24 paved runway. 07-25 is 23,100 feet times 300 feet. 09-27 is 9,991 feet times 300 feet. 12/30 is 9,235 feet times 600 feet. It is actually marked as 2 adjacent 300 feet wide runways. Runway 30 rolls out onto the compass rose, so its corresponding, unmarked, runway 12 is never used. 15/33 is 29,487 feet times 300 feet. 18/36 is 23,086 feet times 900 feet. It is actually marked as 3 adjacent 300 feet wide runways. The Rosamond Lakebed has 2 runways painted on it. 02-20 is 4.0 miles long. 11/29 is 4.0 miles long.